I exposed my own family. And they still don't know it was me when my grandfather passed. He left behind a small business that had been in our family for decades. Nothing huge, but meaningful. The plan was simple. The business would be split fairly between me and my cousins. At least, that's what I thought. But at the reading of the will, something felt off. My aunt kept cutting people off, rushing the lawyer, acting like she already knew what was coming. And when the papers were finally opened, it said she would be taking full control on behalf of the family. Everyone looked shocked except her. She didn't even pretend to act surprised. I noticed the signature at the bottom of the page. It didn't look like my grandfather's. Not the way he wrote his G's, not the way he signed anything. When I pointed it out, she laughed it off and said I was grieving weird. But I wasn't grieving weird. I was suspicious. And I was right. Asterisk, when I left the lawyer's office, something in me snapped. My grandfather built that business from nothing. He taught me how to run the register before I could even do long division. And now my aunt, who barely stepped foot in the shop, was suddenly the sole owner? No. Something was wrong. So I went home and pulled out the last birthday card my grandfather ever wrote me. Then I compared the signature to the one on the will. Even someone who'd never seen his handwriting could tell they weren't the same. The real signature was smooth and looping. The will's signature looked rushed, like someone tried to fake confidence and failed halfway through. I took pictures. I wasn't going to accuse anyone blindly. I needed proof. The next morning, I drove to the business. My aunt had already changed the locks. Not subtle, but through the window, I could see boxes scattered everywhere, like she was digging for something. Or hiding something. As I walked away, my cousin Mark caught up to me. He looked around nervously before whispering. She kicked me out too. Said Grandpa wanted her to take full control for the good of the family. I asked him if he believed that. He didn't answer. That was answer enough. We did the one thing my aunt didn't expect. We checked the security footage. My grandfather had cameras everywhere. Not because he was paranoid, but because he liked watching birds that nested near the gutter. The cameras were still online. And when we pulled up the footage from the days before he passed, we saw something that made my blood boil. There she was. My aunt. Late at night. Sitting at my grandfather's desk, flipping through his old documents. She wasn't grieving. She wasn't cleaning. She was searching. And then, 2 days later, a man walked in carrying a briefcase. They talked. Whispered. He slid papers across the desk. She slid him cash. When he left, she picked up a pen and practiced his signature. Over and over and over. My hands were shaking. That wasn't suspicion anymore. That was proof. Mark whispered. We can't let her get away with this. But I wasn't thinking about letting her get away with anything. I was thinking about revenge. The legal kind. The kind she couldn't laugh off. We brought the footage straight to the lawyer. I expected anger. Shock. Maybe an apology for not noticing. Instead, he locked the door behind us and sighed. I was hoping you wouldn't find this. My stomach dropped. He wasn't surprised. He wasn't confused. He was involved. And suddenly, it made sense. How fast the documents appeared. How confidently my aunt walked into the reading. How nobody questioned anything. They weren't just stealing the business. They were working together. I looked at him and said, you realize this is fraud. He smiled. Actually smiled. Prove it. So I did. Before showing him the footage, I uploaded copies to 3 cloud accounts, including one he didn't know existed. And while he was threatening us, trying to intimidate us, I pressed a button on my phone. Recorded. Every word. When he realized what I was doing, his face went pale. But it was too late. The audio, the footage, the forged signatures, everything was already on its way to the authorities. My aunt tried to call me that night. She left a voicemail sobbing about misunderstandings and family unity. She wasn't sorry. She was scared. In court, the judge barely let her speak. The evidence was too clean, too obvious. The forged will was thrown out before she finished her first lie. And the business? It was returned exactly how my grandfather wanted it. Split fairly, shared equally, and now protected. From her forever. But the biggest win wasn't the business. It was watching my aunt pack up her boxes in the same office she tried to steal, under the supervision of the very police she thought she'd outsmarted. As she walked out, she muttered, you ruined everything. I looked her dead in the eyes. No, I said. I fixed what you broke. And for the first time since my grandfather passed, the business felt like home again.